In this video, I'll be talking about some of the topics that you might see in SAT mathematics. Hope you enjoy. Good day guys. In this video, I'll be talking about some of the mathematical topics that you'll see in the SAT. And some of these topics include algebra, solving equations, fractions, factorizing polynomials, and the laws of exponents, or some of you may know it as Surds. I will first start off by reviewing all of these topics by solving a few questions. And once I finish reviewing all of these topics, it will be followed by a number of questions from these topics. Now, when you solve these questions, I'll advise you to press pause and try and solve it by yourself. And once you've finished solving it, come back and see the working and hence look at the answer. Now, without further ado, let us start. The first topic that I'll be looking at will be the laws of exponents. Now, let's quickly recap the laws of exponents. So, if we have, let's say, a to the power of n times a to the power of n, in which the bases are the same, what we'll do is we'll add the power. So it'll be a to the power of m plus n. In other words, if I have 7 to the power of 6 multiplied by 7 to the power of 8, we will have it as 7 to the power of 6 plus 8, which is equal to 7 to the power of 14. Now the next one, what we'll be looking at is a to the power of m divided by a to the power of n, which will equal to a to the power of m minus n. In other words, if we have 7 to the power of 9 divided by 7 to the power of 6, we will have 7 to the power of 9 minus 6, which is equal to 7 to the power of 3. Now, in these cases, you either can solve for a final answer or you can leave it as it is like this, depending on the question. And the last one we'll be looking at is if I have a to the power of m to the power of n, this is how we can solve it is by writing it as a to the power of m multiplied by n. And by giving an example, if I have 7 to the power of 6 multiplied by 8, this is same like 7 to the power of 6 times 8, which is equal to 7 to the power of 48. Alright guys, so let us continue. So this is a little bit review of the laws of exponents. Now let's look at radicals and how we can convert to fractional exponents. So let us say I have something as the fifth root of x raised to the power of 9. Now quickly, how we can write it as, we can write this as x to the power of 9 by 5 or 9 over 5. Alright guys, so in other words, if I have, let us say, another question is sixth root of x to the power of 7. This can be written as x to the power of 7 over 6. Alright guys, so this is how we convert radicals to fractional exponents. So we write the exponents as a fraction. Now also, let's recap a little bit about exponents. So if I have 4 or 5 to the power of 3, this is same like multiplying 5 3 times. So it is same like 5 times 5 times 5, which is equal to 125. Alright guys, so if I have n to the power of 4, this is same like n times n times n times n. Alright, so we are going to quickly recap some of this so we don't waste too much time. Now, in other words, if I have, let's say, 6 to the power of 3. Now, we know that 6 to the power of 3 is 6 times 6 times 6, which is equal to 216. Now, what if the question is asking us, what is the cube root? The cube root of 216. So, the cube root of the third root of 216, which will be equal to 6. Alright guys, so in other words, if we have, let me give you one more example. If we have the fourth root of 625, what we got to do is we got to find a number that is multiplied by 4 times, that gives us 625, and we know that it is equal to the 4th root of 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, which is equal to 5, right guys? All right, here we go. Now let us go a little bit into absolute value. So when we take a look at absolute value, we know that absolute value of A is equal to A, and we know that absolute value of negative A is also equal to A. Now let's say if we have a question, let's say I have the absolute value of, A plus 4 is equal to 17, and they're telling us to find the value of A. In this case, we can write it as two equations. Right guys? Because we know absolute value of negative will also be positive. So we know that A plus 4 is equal to 17. This is the first equation, and A plus 4 is equal to negative 17. In this case, if we subtract 4 from both the sides, we will have 17 minus 4 is 13. And here, if we subtract 4 from both the sides, we will have A is equal to negative 17. Negative 4 will be equal to negative 21. So we would have two values here. Right, guys, this is a little bit about absolute value. Now let us go into fractions. Let us say I have 2 plus 3 over 5. Now in this case, what we would do is we have to change the denominators to be equal. So in other words, we have to find the highest common factor, or the GCF, the greatest common factor. So we got to change this denominator to 5. So how can we do it? We can do it by multiplying it by 5 over 5. So you can multiply by 5 over 5, and we would have 5 times 2 would give us 10 over 5 plus 3 over 5, which would give us 13 over 5. Now we can only add or subtract fractions when the denominators are the same. And we can also write this as a mixed number if we want. So we'll write it as 2, 3, or 5. Whichever way, the final answer will be the same. Now let us talk about multiplying the fractions. Let's say we have 4 multiplied by 3 over 6. So in this case, what we can do is when we multiply fractions, we can only multiply the top, so the numerator with the numerator, and the denominator with the denominator. So in this case, what we'll have is 4 times 3 will give us 12. So we have 12 over 6, which is equal to 2. In other words, we can also solve it by simplifying the fraction. So if we simplify, we'll have 3 will change to 1, 6 will change to 2, and 4 divided by 2 will also give us 2. Whichever way you solve, the final answer would be the same. Now, let's go into how to divide the fraction. So let's say I have 7 over 4 divided by, let's say, 49 over 12. So in this case, what we do is we got to find the reciprocal of the second fraction. So the reciprocal of A over B would be B over A. The reciprocal, in other words, is A over B to the power of negative 1. That's the reciprocal. Okay, guys? So what we do here is we would find the reciprocal of the second fraction. So we write it as 7 over 4. And then this division, we'll change it to multiplication. So multiplied by 12 over 49. Now once we have this, we can also simplify the fractions. So 7 and 49 can simplify each other. 7 will change to 1, 49 will change to 7, 4 will change to 1, and 12 will change to 3. Therefore, the final answer would give us 3 over 7. Alright, now let us go a little bit about equations, simple linear equations. So let's say I have an equation, and let's say I have 3 over 4 plus x is equal to 7 over 8. Now in this case, if we take a look at the denominator, we see that there's a constant and there is a variable. In this case, what we can do is we can simply find the value of x by cross multiplying. So what we do, we take 3 multiplied by 8. So we have 3 multiplied by 8. 3 multiplied by 8 is equal to 7 multiplied by 4 plus x. So 3 multiplied by 8 and 7 multiplied by 4 plus x, and then we will have no more denominators. Now 3 times 8 will give us 24 is equal to, now we will use the distributive property to break the bracket. So 7 times 4 will give us 28 plus 7 times x would give us 7x. Now I'm going to transpose this 28 to the other side. So we'll have 24 minus 28 is equal to 7x. 24 minus 28 will give us negative 4 is equal to 7x. And they're asking us to find a value of x, not 7x. So I'm going to transpose this 7 to the other side by changing it to division. So I would have minus 4 over 7 is equal to x. So the value of x would give us minus 4 over 7. Now we are going to be looking a little bit into factorizing polynomials. So what this means, so let me say I have something that is y squared is equal, let's say y squared minus 36, and I have to factorize the polynomials. Now if we take a look at this, we can solve it using the algebraic identity, which we have a squared minus b squared is equal to a plus b and a minus b. Right guys, so this is what we can write it as. We can write this as y to the power of 2, or y squared minus 36. We can also write it as 6 squared. Now if you take a look at this, now we have it in this format. We have y squared minus 6 squared, which is equal to y minus 6 or y plus 6 and y minus 6. You can swap how you write it, even if you write it as y minus 6 or y plus 6, the answer would be the same. Now let's do one more. Let me change the color. Let's say I have 9x squared. Let's say I have 9x squared minus 25. This I can write it as 3x to the power of 2, because 3 times 3 or 3 to the power of 2 will give us 9, and x to the power of 2 is x squared minus 25. We can also write it as 5 to the power of 2. And from the above algebraic identity, we know that a squared minus b squared is equal to a minus b, a plus b. So let's write it as 3x minus 5 and 3x plus 5. Right guys, here we go. And this is one of the algebraic identities that is pretty important, that you'll see a lot in SAT. So a squared minus b squared is equal to a minus b, a plus b. And there's also some other identities which you'll be using, such as a plus b whole square, which is equal to a square plus 2ab plus b square. And also one more would be a minus b whole square, which is a square minus 2ab plus b square. So these are some of the algebraic identities that you'll be seeing. Maybe I'll put this right here. There we go. Now let us solve. Let's say I use some of the above mentioned algebraic identities, and let's solve some questions. Let me see where I have. So let's say I have, here we go. Here's a good example. So I have x squared minus 2xy plus y squared is equal to 121. Now from the above algebraic identity, if you take a look at this one, if we take a look at this algebraic expression, we can write it as a minus b the whole square. Right guys, so let's say if I write it as x minus y the whole square, what will this give us? So it will give us x squared, right, minus 2ab, which is minus 2 times x times y, plus our y squared, plus y squared. Or in other words, if you're not sure why this became like this, so we have, it's pretty much like x minus y x minus y, and we break the bracket. So if we take a look at this, guys, this algebraic expression, we can write it as x minus y whole square, which is equal to, and 121, we can also write it as 11 to the power of 2. Right, guys? Now we can write it as 11 to the power of 2. Now, if we take a look at this, what do we have here? To the power of 2 and to the power of 2 will simplify. Hence, we have x minus y is equal to 11. Alright, guys, x minus y is equal to 11. Now, there's one more method to solve this. We can also write this as x minus y whole square is equal to 121. And when we transpose this to the power of 2 to the other side, we would have x minus y is equal to square root of 121, and hence square root of 121 x minus y would be equal to plus minus 11. Right, guys, this should also be plus minus 11. So in this case, they would usually ask you what is the value of x minus y. So this is what the question will ask you when given a statement like this. Now let me go to the next one. Let us say let's go a little bit into linear equations in one variable. Let's say I have 7 plus 8 over x is equal to 5. And we got to find the value of x. Now, how we can find the value of x is by multiplying the whole equation by x. Since we have x in the denominator and we can't have an x in the denominator, so let's solve it by multiplying the whole equation by x. So this one I'm going to multiply by x, and also this I'm going to multiply by x. Alright, guys, so x times 7 would give us 7x plus x times 8 over x. The x and x would simplify, which should leave with just a positive 8, and which is equal to 5x. Okay, guys, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transpose this 5x. I'm going to transfer this 5x to the other side by subtracting it. So I'd have 7x minus 5x is equal to, and I'm going to also transpose this positive 8 to the other side by subtracting. So I would have negative 8. 7x minus 5x would give us 2x is equal to 8. Right, guys, 2x is equal to 8, and x equal to, now I'm going to transpose this 2 to the other side, which is 8 over 4. Therefore, 8 over 2, which is equal to 4. So the value of x would be equal to 4. Now, let us talk a little bit about functions. Or you know what, before that, let me give one more example, which is a pretty common example. So let's say, pretty similar to the above question. So let's say I have 4 over 5 plus 3 over x is equal to 4. Now, if you want, you can pause this video, try and solve it, and come back and take a look at this. So how we'll be doing this is, so we take a look at this and we see that this is a mixed fraction. So what we can do is, first let us change the mixed fraction to an improper fraction. So 4 over 5, we can write it as 19 over 5 plus 3 over x is equal to 4. Now, pretty similar to the above question, but in this question what we'll see is, we see that the denominator we have 5 and we have an x. Therefore, we got to multiply the whole equation by 5x. So this, let's multiply by 5x, and this we are also going to multiply by 5x. Now, when we take 5x multiplied by 19 over 5 using distributive property plus 5x multiplied by 3 over x, which is equal to 4 times 5x would give us 20x. Now, if we take a look at this, 5 and 5 can simplify itself, and x would simplify itself. So what we'll be having here, we'll be having 19x plus 15 is equal to 20x. Right, guys? Now let me transpose. So I'm going to change 20x to this side. I'm going to move 20x here. I'm going to move 15 there. So I'd have 19x minus 20x is equal to negative 15. And we see 19x minus 20x will give us negative x is equal to negative 15. Therefore, x is equal to 15. Right, guys, we're going to multiply both sides by negative. All right, guys. Now let us go to the final recap, which would be functions. Let's talk a little bit about functions. Okay, so let's say I have function f of a. Oh, that does not look like an a. So let's say f of a is equal to 2x plus 3. And using this function, they're telling us to find the f of 3. So what will we have? We'll have 2 multiplied by 3 plus 3, which is equal to 6 plus 3, which is equal to 9. Right, guys? Pretty straightforward. Or functional. There we go. And let's say they are telling us to find, and we also know that in the functions, the f of x will be equal to y. And many people ask, when will this function be equal to y? So if x has only one variable, f of x will be equal to y. So let's say using the same function. Here. Right, guys? Let us say I have f of a is equal to 2x plus 3. And then we know that f of a is equal to 28. Let's say f of a is equal to 28. And they are telling us to find this value of x. So let's say we got to find this value of x here using the same function. So what do we know? We know that f of a is equal to what? Correct, guys? So f of a is equal to y. Therefore, 2x plus 3 would be equal to 28, since this has only one variable, right, guys? And now what we do is it's pretty straightforward. We solve for x. So we have 2x is equal to 28 minus 3. 2x is equal to 25. X is equal to 25 over 2, and we can also write this as a mixed fraction if you want, which would give us 12 1 over 2, or 12 and a half. Guys. Now let's give one more example. Okay, let's give one more example of function. Let's say f of a comma b is equal to a square plus b, right, guys? A square plus b. So in this case, if we have a function f of 2 comma 3, what will this equal to? This will equal to 2 to the power of 2 plus 3, which is equal to 4 plus 3, which is equal to 7, right, guys? Which will equal to 7. Now using this, they are telling us to find. Let's say using this, they are telling us to find. Let me see the question here. F of, using the same equations, 3 comma b is equal to 42. And we have to find the value of b here. We got to find the value of b here. And what do we know from here? We know that this, so f of a comma b is equal to a square plus b, and we know that this is equal to this, right, guys? So we know that a square plus b is equal to 42. So in other words, what do we have? We have that a square plus b is equal to 42, and we see that a is equal to 3, so we have 3 square plus b is equal to 42, and 9 plus b is equal to 42. Therefore, b is equal to 42 minus 9. B will give us 33. Okay, guys, b is equal to 33. Now, we have finished with reviewing Alright guys, so let us go to question number 1. It's pretty much what we recapped just now. So what do we have here? We have f of x is equal to x squared plus 7x plus 5. Then we see that f of x is equal to 35, and we got to find the value of x. So we see that there's only one variable here, right guys? So we see that for f of x is equal to y. So in other words, we can see that x squared plus 7x plus 5 is equal to 35. Right guys, is equal to 35. Now what we're going to do is we're going to transpose this to the other side. So we would have x squared plus 7x plus 5 minus 35 is equal to 0. Alright guys, and we would have x squared plus 7x minus 30 is equal to 0. Now what we're going to do is we are going to factorize this by splitting the middle term. So what we need is we need two numbers that multiplies and gives us negative 30. So we see that two numbers AC is equal to negative 30, and the sum of it would give us 7. Right guys, so what are the two numbers? We see we can try 6 and 5, which will not work. We can try 10 and 3, and if we take a look at 10 and 3, it might work here, right guys? So 10 minus 3 would give us 7. 10 multiplied by negative 3 would give us negative 30. So in this case, we're going to split the middle term by using these two numbers here. So I'm going to write it as x squared plus 10x minus 3x minus 30 is equal to 0. Now if you take a look at this, 10x minus 3x would still give us a positive of 7x. Alright guys, now I am going to factorize this. So I'm going to factorize in pairs. So the first one, what we have is x. Inside a bracket I would have x plus 10, and then I have negative 3 here. Inside a bracket I would have x plus 10. And if you take a look at this, these two brackets will always be equal, right guys? And the final answer we have is x plus 10 and x minus 3. So this is the steps, but once you have figured out these two numbers, you can pretty much write it as x plus 10 and x minus 3 from here and here. Right guys, now they're telling us to find the value of x. So there are two values. We see that x plus 10 is equal to 0 and x minus 3 is equal to 0. Here we have x is equal to negative 10, and here we have x is equal to 3. Right guys, so the value of x would be equal to negative 10 and x is equal to 3. We have two values here. Alright guys, let's go to the next one. So here we go. What do we have here? We have f of x is 5x squared minus 2x plus x cubed. Then we got to find f of 3. So what do we have here? We have to just substitute it. So we would have 5 multiplied by 3 squared minus 2 times 3 plus 3 to the power of 3, which will give us 5 times 9 minus 6 plus 27. Right guys? 2 times 3 would give us 6 plus 3 to the power of 3 would give us 27. Then we are going to just do a little bit of basic maths here. 5 times 9 would give us 45 minus 6 plus 27. 45 minus 6 is 39. 39 plus 27, which is equal to 66. So the answer is 66. This is pretty straightforward. Now here we go guys. This is a pretty interesting one. We see that square root of 5 is equal to y minus 7, and they're telling us to find the value of y minus 7 whole square. So what did we do here? They're telling us to find what is y minus 7 the whole square. So if you take a look at this, what we did to this equation, we squared it, right? So we are going to do the same to the left hand side. So square root of 5 to the power of 2. Now let's see what is square root of 5. Square root of 5 to the power of 2 is equal to square root of 5 times square root of 5, which would give us square root of 25, and we know that square root of 25 is equal to 5. Hence, therefore, y minus 7 to the power of 2 would be equal to 5. Right, guys? Pretty straightforward. Now, let us go to the next one. What do we see here? We see that 4x plus 16 is equal to 44, and they are telling us to find the value of, they want us to find what is the value of 12x plus 4. 12x plus 4 is equal to what? So first, what we'll be doing is, in order to find this, we need to find the value of x. So once we find the value of x, we can substitute it and find for this equation. So let's solve for x now. So we have 4x is equal to 44 minus 16. 4x would be equal to 28. X would be equal to 28 over 4. Therefore, x is equal to 7. Now we have found the value of x. All we need to do is substitute in 12x plus 4. So 12x plus 4 is same like 12 multiplied by 7 plus 4, and 12 times 7 is 84 plus 4, which is equal to 88. Okay, so what we did first, we found the value of x, then we substituted in the equation of the question to find the final answer. Let us go to the next one now. Now we have, what do we have here? If 2x plus 5 whole square is equal to 7x plus 3 whole square, and they are telling us to find the value of x. From the previous question, you would have remembered, if we have to the power of 2 on both sides, we can pretty much simplify it. And all we have left now is 2x plus 5 is equal to 7x plus 3. And then now we're going to pretty much solve for x. So I have 2x. I'm going to transpose this to this side. So we have 2x minus 7x is equal to 3 minus 5. 2x minus 7x would give us negative 5x is equal to 3 minus 5 is negative 2. And then I have x is equal to negative 2 over negative 5. And when we have negative on both of the fractions, we can simplify it. So therefore, x is equal to 2 over 5. Alright, guys. Now, for the next question, let's see. We have pretty similar to what we did 2 questions ago, I guess. So we have 9x is equal to 72, and they are telling us what is the value of 4x minus 3 the whole square is equal to how much. So we can first find the value of x here. X is equal to 72 over 9. Therefore, x is equal to 8. Now we can take the value of x and substitute it here. So we would have 4 multiplied by 8 minus 3 the whole square, which is equal to 32 minus 3 the whole square, which is equal to 29 the whole square. And 29 minus 29, if we use the calculator to be certain, 29 times 29 is equal to 841. 841. Therefore, 4x minus 3 whole square is equal to 84 from the question. Alright guys, let's go to the next one now. Here we go. So we have, so let's see here. So 8 multiplied by 4th root of x to the power of 3 minus 15 is equal to 49. And what they want us to find, and then they're asking us what is square root of x minus 12. So square root of x minus 12 is equal to what? So again, first of all, we need to find the value of x. Hence, we can go here. Alright guys, so let's go here. So first, we are going to transpose this negative 15 to the other side. So we would have 8 multiplied by 4th root of x to the power of 3 is equal to 49 plus plus 15, right guys? And we have 8 multiplied by 4th root of x to the power of 3 is equal to 64. Now what we're going to do is we're going to transpose this 8 to the other side. So we have 4th root of x to the power of 3 is equal to 64 over 8. Right guys? Is equal to 64 over 8. So we would have, what do we have? 4th root of x to the power of 3 is equal to 64 divided by 8 would give us 8. Right guys? Any question? No? Yes. Continuing from here. So what do we have here? So pretty similar to what we learned just now, right guys? So we have 4th root of x to the power of 3. This we can write it as x to the power of 3 over 4, right guys? So we're going to write it as a fractional exponent. So what we have here, 4th root of x to the power of 3 is equal to 8. We are going to write it as a fractional exponent. So we would have x to the power of 3 over 4 is equal to 8. Now, of course, we are not solving for x to the power of 3 over 4. We are solving for x. So the only thing what we can do to get rid of x to the power of 3 over 4 is multiply this exponent by 4 over 3. And since we are doing it to one side, we also have to multiply this by 4 over 3, right guys? So we would have x is equal to, these two will simplify, is equal to 8 to the power of 4 over 3. Now again, this looks complicated. So it has a base, it has exponent. So what we're going to be doing now is we are going to try and write it as simple as possible. So we see that 8 is equal to 2 to the power of 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 8 as, so x is equal to 2 to the power of 3 and this to the power of 4 over 3. Right guys? So in other words, 8 I change it to 2 to the power of 3. Now we also see from the laws of exponents that 8 to the power of m to the power of n is equal to 8 to the power of m times n, which is equal to 8 to the power of mn. In this, what do we have? X is equal to 2 to the power of 3 times 4 over 3, which would give us x is equal to 2 to the power of 3 and 3 will simplify, which is equal to 2 to the power of 4, and 2 to the power of 4 is equal to 16. Now we have found the value of x, but the question is still not finished. They are asking us, always guys, here's where many of the students lose points by not completing the question. So here they are asking what is square root of x minus 12. We found that x is equal to 16. So square root of 16 minus 12 will be equal to 4 minus 12, which is equal to negative 8. Okay, guys, which is equal to negative 8. Now let's go to the next one. So here we go. We have 3x plus 2y is equal to 2, and they're telling us to find 9x squared plus 12xy plus 4y squared. Now we're going to try and see which algebraic identity we can use. So if we take a look at it, let us try this out. What is 3x plus 2y whole square? What is 3x plus 2y whole square? So what do we have? We would have a square plus 2 times a times b plus b squared. Right guys? And we would have 9x squared plus 2 times 3 times 2 would give us plus 12xy plus 4y squared. So if we take a look at this, this is equal to what they are asking. So what we can do is we can raise these equations to the power of 2. So we would have 3x, if we raise this to the power of 2, and that means we also have to raise this to the power of 2. And we know that 3x plus 2y whole square will give us 9x squared plus 12xy plus 4y squared. And we know 2 to the power of 2 is equal to 4, Therefore, the value of this would be equal to 4. Okay, so when you see a question like this, just try to think which algebraic identity could be used here, test it out, and see how you can go from there. Here we go, the next one. What do we have here? We have 8 minus 4 over x is equal to x plus 4. What is the value of x? So what we'll be doing now is we'll be multiplying the whole equation with x. We'll be multiplying the whole equation with x, right guys? So what would we have? We would have 8x minus, and here x and x will simplify, minus 4 is equal to x squared plus 4x. Right guys, now I'm going to change all of this to this side, so I'm going to change all of this to the other side. So 0 is equal to x squared plus 4x minus 8x plus 4, and 0 is equal to x squared plus 4x minus 8x will give us negative 4x plus 4. Again here, what we're going to do, we're going to find two numbers that multiply give us 4, and those two numbers add up and give us negative 4. And the two numbers here would be negative 2 and negative 2, right guys? So negative 2 times negative 2 would give us 4, and negative, if we find the sum of it, minus 2 would give us minus 4. Right guys, so we are going to split the middle term. So 0 is equal to x squared negative 2x plus 4, or we also can write this as x minus 2, x minus 2. Right guys, in this case we see that all of this is equal to 0, and we see that both of this are the same. So let's find a value of x. So we see that x minus 2 is equal to 0, therefore x is equal to 2. Right guys, so the value of x is equal to 2. Alright, let us go to the next question here. So what do we see here? We see that x squared plus 2xy plus y squared is equal to 361, and they're telling us to find the possible values of x plus y. What might be the possible values of x plus y? Now what can we write this? This we can write it as, right guys, so we see that, let's try this out. What is x plus y the whole square? X plus y the whole square will give us x squared plus 2xy plus y squared, right guys? So this we can write it as this, right guys? So we see that x plus y the whole square is equal to 361, right guys? And we're going to transpose this to the power of 2 to the other side. So we have x plus y is equal to square root of 361, and we know that square root of 361 would give us, so therefore x plus y would be equal to plus minus 19. Alright guys, let us go to the next one now. Let's see here. So we have, let's do one at a time. So we have x squared, we're going to do this, so we'll be factorizing this. So x squared minus 2x minus 24, we are going to factorize this. So this we can write it as, what are the two numbers? So two numbers that multiply and give us negative 24, and two numbers that add up and give us negative 2. So the two numbers here, let's see 6 and 4. Negative 6 multiplied by 4 is negative 24, and negative 6 plus 4 would give us negative 2. So we can write the top one. Let me write it here. We can write the top one as x minus 6 and x plus 4. So we have figured the top one now. Let's go to the next one. Let's see x squared plus 7x plus 12. Right guys, x squared plus 7x plus 12. So two numbers multiply give us 12, and those two numbers add up and give us 7, and we know it is 4 and 3. Right guys, 4 times 3 is 12, 4 plus 3 would give us 7. So this denominator we would have x plus 4 and x plus 3, and this is equal to 12 over, let's see here the next one. write it here. We are going to factorize x squared plus x minus 6. Again, two numbers multiply, give us -6, and those two numbers add up and give us +1. So the two numbers would be 3 minus 2. 3 times minus 2 is -6. 3 minus 2 would give us 1. So we would have x plus 3 and x minus 2. Right, guys? Now, if we take a look at this, let us rub this all out now, and let's write the equations again, and let us solve for it. So let me rub this out. Now, if you can see on the top here, x plus 4 and x plus 4 can simplify. So what we have here is we have x minus 6 over x plus 3 is equal to 12 over x plus 3 times x minus 2. Right, guys, this is the equation that we have. Now, if we take a look here, we can cross multiply them, right, guys? So let's cross multiply them. We would have x minus 6, x plus 3 multiplied by x minus 2 is equal to 12 multiplied by x plus 3. So what did we do here? So we took this and multiplied with this, and we took this and multiplied with this. Now, if we take a look at this here, we have x plus 3 on both the sides. That means it can be simplified. So let's simplify them. X plus 3 and this x plus 3 will be simplified. Now, what do we have left? We have x minus 6, x minus 2 is equal to 12. Now let's break the brackets. X times x is x squared minus x times 2 is 2x. This would give us minus 6x. This would give us plus 12 is equal to 12. Right, guys? Is equal to 12. Now what do we see here? We see that these two also can simplify. So what do we have? We have x squared minus 2x minus 6x is equal to 0. And we have x squared minus 8x is equal to 0. Therefore, x would also equal to 0 in this case. Okay, guys, x would also equal to 0. And there we go, guys. So this is the end of it. Hope you guys understood a little bit of it. Again, these are just few topics that you might see in the SAT. And of course, if you like the video, don't forget to press like and subscribe, not to miss out the videos for the future. Until next time, guys, have a nice day.